to the NXT Podcast, your home for weekly NXT reviews and insight.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
Find all of your NXT news, recaps, and analysis right here. So with that being said, we only have one question for you.
Are you ready?
We thought so. Let's get the show started right now.
Hey everyone, this is Jay, your weekly NXT review for September 24th, 2024. This is actually my second recording today. The first time I did it, the microphone messed up. And I said it to Matt, and he's like, did you listen to it? No, I didn't, because I was on my way to work. So anyway, I'm recording again, and hopefully this time everything works out well. Just wanted to say hi and welcome, and thank you for spending some time with me to talk about NXT. And I really, really want your comments. Please send me your comments. I love seeing what you think. Is it good? Is it bad? What do I need to improve on? Are you full of crap? Am I full of crap? Like, let's have a conversation, okay? But in the meantime, a couple things I want to talk about. Number one, so happy for Jey Uso. I know this isn't a Raw review. I know Matt does a Raw review. But how could I just leave that out there? How could I leave out there the fact that Jey Uso won the Intercontinental title? And the reason why, I mean, yeah, it was great. But, like, it was such a surprise. Nobody knew it was... I didn't think it was going to happen. I don't think anybody else did. And when the ref counted 3, I was like, what just happened? Okay, time to go to bed, because it's late. You know, I didn't start watching till 9:30. And by the time Raw was over, it was like 11:30, and I was done. I needed to go to sleep. So, congratulations to main event Jey Uso, and he really is the main dude on Raw. I mean, everybody says this person runs Raw, that person runs Raw. Jey Uso doesn't run Raw, but he is. Like, he is Raw right now. And it's great. Yeah, I know Gunther's a world champion, but Jay's awesome. That's it. That's all I'm going to talk about. I'm going to move on. One more thing I want to talk about before I move on to the show itself. I just finished watching the 2 seasons of Heels that was on Starz a few years ago, and now is on, it just dropped on Netflix a few weeks ago. And if you haven't watched it, for whatever reason, you should watch it. It's a great show. It got canceled earlier than it should have, but the ride was great. Like, I couldn't wait to get home and watch another episode or two before, after work, before I went to bed. But I highly recommend it. It's a great show. The actors do a great job. CM Punk is in it for a good amount of, he's in for a couple of episodes. Mick Foley does a cameo. It's just a great time. It's a great show. So, I highly recommend it. You should definitely go watch it. And I think that's all I have to say about that. Before I get into the show, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Patreon. And if Patreon gives you the ad-free version, and there's also an ad-free version on Apple Podcasts. So for $5, you don't get the ads. There's a lot of ads. I became a patron because I didn't want to hear the ads. I wanted to hear Matt. I wanted to hear Amanda. I wanted to hear everything else. I didn't want to hear ads, which is why I went to Patreon and signed up. So that's my spiel. That's my plug. You should definitely do that if you enjoy our content. Now, moving forward. So NXT last night, this was the last episode on Monday Night Raw. Last episode on USA. And the minute the show started, Kelani Jordan came out and they had a North American Women's Championship match, which I was kind of surprised about. To be honest, I thought this being the last episode on USA, they were just kind of pack it in. There were a lot of things I had an issue with this episode of NXT, but there were a lot of good things. I liked the fact that they did a title match right out the gate. Right out the gate, did a title match, and that was great. And there's a couple other things which I'll talk about that I liked, and there's a couple things I'll talk about which I despise, and we'll get into that later. So we start off with the North American Women's Championship match, Kelani Jordan versus Wren Sinclair, and just to kind of give you a little bit of background, last week Charlie Dempsey and the No Quarter Catch crew told Wren Sinclair to shoot her shot. She went over to Kelani Jordan later on, slapped her in the face. Kelani Jordan started chasing her around, and now we get the Women's North American Championship match. It was a decent match. It wasn't fabulous, but, Kelani Jordan's always good to watch, fun to watch. Kelani Jordan ends up winning the match with a split-legged moonsault. And there's really nothing more to say about it. It was a decent match. Give it a thumbs up, I guess. One of the things I noticed right on the outset is Mike Rome is back doing the ring announcing, which I'm very excited about. I don't really care for Alicia Taylor. I really didn't like it that they switched her and Mike Rome from SmackDown to NXT. But at least Mike's back now. He's doing NXT. I just don't care for her. I love Samantha. Samantha Irvin is amazing. I'll listen to her all day. I go to live events just so I can maybe say hi to her. It never happens. But anyway, I like Lillian Garcia. Howard Finkel's the GOAT as far as I'm concerned. But I just don't like Alicia Taylor. Just don't like the way she announces. That's just me. So anyway, moving forward, after the North American Women's Championship match, which, by the way, also, Kelani Jordan has had that title for a long time. I think at this point, there are so many women in this locker room that we need to get a new North American Women's Champion. We kind of need to get a new NXT Women's Champion, but I really like Roxanne Perez, and she does a great job. I really like the heel, the heel champions. I think the baby faces are much better at chasing than they are at holding, which is why Cody Rhodes for 2 years was awesome, and then all of a sudden he gets the title, and you're like, now what? And he's kind of been in limbo until The Rock comes. But again, I'm getting on another show. But my point is that Kelani Jordan, I think, needs to move on to other things. So that's just my spiel. I love the fact that they have a North American Women's title, but yeah. Anyway, we'll go moving on. The next segment was a bunch of snippets of promoting the CW show for next week. Very excited about the CW, moving to CW. Obviously, the issue with the CW is it's a hard 2 hours. There's no overtime like there is on USA, which, could be an issue. We'll have to see how they play that out for sure. Once 10 o'clock hits, they're done. So that'll be interesting. But anyway, then they had this press conference. And so I don't understand the thing about the press conference. There's 168 hours in the week, and they decide to have a press conference in the 2 hours during the show. I don't understand that. I don't understand. And the press conference was hokey. Like, obviously, it wasn't a real press conference. Everybody could see it. I watch every single PLE that when they do a press conference after the PLE. I watch every one. Excuse me. It is entertaining. I love it when they don't come out in kayfabe, like when they actually come out as themselves. I believe Nia and Tiffany did that after SummerSlam. But this one it was clearly acting not very good. And again, having it while the show's going on, like that's what it seemed like they were doing. And if you didn't realize it during the show, you realize it at the end. So anyway, Ethan Page is doing the press conference, and he talks about him carrying the brand on his back and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I love heel champions. Ethan Page is great. I'm so happy they picked him up. I'm so happy he left AEW earlier this year. And hopefully he continues to do great things. That being said, I do honestly think that they're setting up Trick Williams to win the title. I think that, I mean, to be honest, I think that that's going to be the first match next week on the CW. And I think that the first match is going to be the championship match, and I think that Trick Williams is going to win the title to move on to CW moving forward, carrying the NXT brand on the CW. Being on network television is a big deal. As of next week, it'll be the only show, for all the wrestling shows, it'll be the only show on network television. And for those of us that have cable or stream, it's not a big deal because, it just means a lower channel. But for those people that don't have cable or streaming, which there are some people in the world that still don't, they just have, an antenna, those people are going to be able to watch it too. So that may be the only wrestling they watch, which is very interesting. So anyway, after the press conference with Ethan Page, then CM Punk is talking with Javon Evans, and Trick Williams walks up after. This is after the press conference with Ethan Page, and CM Punk said he's proud of Trick Williams for what he's been doing. He's definitely not going to let either one of them cheat, especially Page, because, if anybody's going to cheat, obviously it's the heel. There's going to be no favors given, and may the best man win. And then we go on to the Grayson Waller effect. I love the Grayson Waller. I love Grayson Waller. Is just, I know I kind of sound like I'm a heel guy. No, but I tend to like the heels better only because they're so much more fun. Like, babyfaces are boring. Cody Rhodes is boring. Babyface Kevin Owens is funny. But that's a rarity. Randy Orton is better as a heel. Heels are just more exciting. Like Roxanne Perez, and we'll talk about her later. Roxanne Perez, she is a great heel. She was like okay babyface, but she's a great heel. So Grayson Waller effect happens. They come out, they start talking about all their accomplishments. This is Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. They start talking about Fraxium, which is Nathan Frazier and Axiom, and they come out and they call them Kurt Cobain and a Power Ranger, which I thought was really funny. They actually started to schmooze them a bit, and they said they would be great additions to the SmackDown roster, but the tag thing won't last. Eventually, they're going to backstab each other, and it definitely seems that the standards have dropped at NXT, and they said, "Thank you, Shawn Michaels," which I thought was really funny. But they think Grayson Waller and Austin Theory think that Fraxium are better. Excuse me, better at singles wrestlers, and that and then Fraxium starts talking, and they say that they're like the Grim Reapers of the tag team division in NXT. That when they beat the Wolf Dogs, then the Wolf Dogs broke up. More recently, they beat Chase U, and then they broke up. So, Ridge Holland left, but we'll talk about that later. So, and eventually, it gets down to saying that A-Town Down Under is going to take the titles. And then why is this called Fraxium? Why is this called the Grayson Waller effect? Shouldn't it be Grayson Waller and Austin Theory? And then Theory starts to get a little ticked like he has been with Grayson Waller, and then eventually Grayson Waller hits Nathan Frazier, and then they both start attacking each other. So, so that this match will happen week 2 of the CW in St. Louis. So in 2 weeks on October 8th. So we're kind of looking forward to that. As far as the tag team titles go, I think they're kind of the NXT tag team titles are a prop. If you think about it, like Chase U only had them for a week just to get Rich Holland away from Chase U. More recently, the Street Profits went against him, and it was just to further the storyline of the Street Profits and the Bloodline. They need the tag team division. The tag team division in all the shows is not good, but even in NXT, like I mean, think. What are the great tag teams in NXT right now? You can't think. I mean, maybe yeah, I can't think of any. So anyway, so moving on. We then have Ora Mensa and Lexis King talking. I love Lexis King's beard is awesome. Like, come on. Like, I want to know what barber is taking the time to do those designs on his beard. I mean, come on. It's great. Anyway, they start talking. They try to mend fences, and Lexis King goes to shake the hand of Ora Mensa and says, we should make our dads, make our dad proud. So that was a little segment. It was interesting. Again, Lexis King heel, great, awesome. But yesterday he was being non-heelish. I don't know why exactly. After that, Hank and Tank get together and they talk about how they're going to beat the Good Brothers, and then we have the Good Brothers and Hank and Tank as a tag team match. So the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson. 3 weeks ago, there was a flashback of the Good Brothers costing Hank and Tank a match against the Rascals for the tag team title shot. So there was a flashback about that, and then we get into the match. And Hank and Tank actually beat Gallows and Anderson. So I was kind of surprised about that, to be honest. I mean, Gallows and Anderson, I mean, they're really good, and Hank and Tank are not. I'm sorry, but they're not. I don't care for them. I don't really care. I don't really like them. But again, they're one of the few tag teams. Like, there's not a lot of tag teams. The women's division, again, I said before, the women's division is stacked with people. Tag team division, not so much. Anyway, moving on. So then we have Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander talking about Javon facing Randy Orton in St. Louis in 2 weeks. And A-Town Down Under comes in and interrupts them and starts talking smack about them. And they ended up the opening. They're going to do a tag team match later on. One of the things that come out is this: is one of them said, "Hey, it's Kevin Owens," and they both turn around look, which was really funny. It's just the whole Kevin Owens back and forth with A-Town Down Under is just hysterical to me. So then we have a match between Lexis King and Ora Mensa. And Ora Mensa wins with his feet on the bottom rope. So it started out that Lexis King put his feet on the bottom rope, and then at the 2 count decides against it, that he didn't want to win that way. And Ora Mensa just turns it around and wins himself the same way. So I thought that was interesting. It's going to be, I'll see how that moves on, how that plays out moving forward. Next match we have is Riley Osborne versus Ridge Holland. Before that, though, there is a training vignette with Tony D'Angelo and the family. I love Rizzo. I love the line that she said, "You gotta believe in you." I love Rizzo. I like the family in general. I think they're cool. I'm Italian, so I kind of relate to the Italians. However, the whole Rocky venue, the whole Rocky thing, it was hokey. There was some really good stuff happening tonight, and there was really hokey stuff happening tonight. I don't understand that. But anyway, at one point he was taking a sledgehammer to cinder blocks. He was pushing a truck with everybody in the back of the truck. I don't know. The whole thing is just weird. But the question is, can Tony D'Angelo actually beat Ora Mensa? Can Tony D'Angelo actually beat Obafemi? I don't know. All this they're putting into Tony D'Angelo, maybe that's the plan. Maybe the plan is to move Obafemi up when Trick Williams wins the title, which again, I think he will. So, moving on. Ridge versus Riley. Riley jumps out on Ridge at the beginning of the match. The whole match, it was so annoying. The whole match, Thea Hale is just screaming like a banshee. It got so distracting. I don't know, if I was in the Performance Center, listening, watching the match, I would be like, yo, stop screaming, girl. Stop screaming. The whole time, just screeching. And anyway, finally, Ridge ends up winning with that, what's it called? The DDT that he does. The Redeemer, the modified DDT. It looks like it hurts really, like, bad. But Ridge gets the win. And then continues to beat on Riley after the match. And Thea continues to scream until the officials break them up. And then eventually they go into the back. There was an announcement that The Miz will have Miz TV next week in Chicago. And he will have Tony D'Angelo and Oba Femi on Miz TV to sign the contract. I said last week I didn't like these fake contract signings. This one actually on Miz TV I think that'll be fun. So I mean I love Miz. I think he's a national treasure. I haven't been watching in the last 20 years for wrestling, so I missed most of the Miz's career. But I have to tell you, he's entertaining. Like and he's the kind of guy who. He's better as a heel. Like he's doing kind of a babyface thing right now, but I honestly think that heel Miz is the best Miz. That's just again with me. Okay. Then we have a setup for a Wesley and Zach Wentz split screen interview that they're going to do. They show the split screen and then they go to commercial. When they come back from commercial, they say, "Hey, we were going to do this interview, but something happened, and we're going to show it to you." And they show it to us. And during the break, the two of them were talking to each other, and it's funny because they just started going back and forth. Like they're in different rooms, but they're just dropping F-bombs and S-bombs at each other. At one point, Wes says, "I'm going to give you advice. Make sure your Gigi doesn't watch it." And he goes, get my fiance's name out of your effing mouth. I mean, it was bad. I was like, wow, they're going out in a blaze of glory on USA in the last week. It was like I couldn't believe the stuff that they were saying. Anyway, eventually they go out to find each other, and they find each other in a back room and start beating on each other, and then officials come and break them up because that's always what happens. So the whole thing was really funny. All right. After that, we have Vic and Booker, the announcers, Vic and Booker, thanking USA for all of the all that they've done for them over the years. And then there was a montage of best of moments on USA over the last however many years NXT has been on. And like I told you, last week I said I haven't been watching it for a while. I've only been watching it for about a year and a half or so. If you don't watch anything else, if you're just relying on me to tell you what happened, if you don't watch anything else on NXT, you should Google this vignette, this flashback video package. It was awesome. All the things that were on there, going back from, Finn Balor as champion, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, all the way up to the present. Joe Hendry made an appearance on this video package. Jordan Grace made an appearance. Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Ethan Page. It was great. The way they did it was awesome, and you should definitely go watch it for sure. After that, we had the setup for a match between Rosemary and Wendy Chu versus Brinley Reese and Carmen Petrovich. Go to commercial, come back, and then Jada and Lola Vice are back with Ava, and Ava says they have a tag team match against Fatal Influence next week. And of course they're like, I don't want to work with her, and Ava's like, you need to figure it out. So Jada Parker and Lola Vice are going to be teaming up against Fatal Influence next week. And then we get to the match with Chu and Rosemary versus Reese and Petrovich. And the match was just okay. I really love Wendy Chu and Rosemary. I think they're awesome. But, yeah, the match was just okay. At the end of the match, Ashanti the Adonis comes out with a rose to give to somebody. It distracts Carmen Petrovich. And when Rosemary pins Brinley Reese with her finisher. The whole thing was weird. I don't know. It wasn't for me. Then we have CM Punk and Ethan Page getting together to discuss the match for next week. In case you don't remember, I forgot to mention this before, CM Punk is the guest referee for the match. We had talked about that last week. CM Punk says he's going to be calling it down the middle and will not allow cheating. And if Ethan Page wins, not only will he hand him the title, but he will wrap it around his waist. So there you go. Then there's a press conference. With fatal influence. So we're on this ongoing stupid press conference. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. The whole thing was weird. So now fatal influence is at the mic at this press conference, and they're saying that, somebody asked which members of fatal influence will be, in the tag team match, and they're like, you won't find out till next week. Nobody will find out till next week. During the press conference, Jada Parker and Lola Vice come in and start throwing smack at them, and eventually they're separated. So again, ladies division stacked with people like Jada, Lola, Fatal Influence, Roxanne, and now the addition of Julia, and then someone else who we'll talk about at the end. Then we've got Cedric Alexander and Javon Evans versus A-Town Down Under. One of the things that I think Vic said was during the match was that Evans does things that you create in video games, which he's amazing. Dude's 18 years old. I predict that within 5 years. Within 5 years, he will be a champion on the main roster, or he will have a broken neck. One or the other. With the things that he does. Hopefully it's the champion thing, because, I don't want to see him have a broken neck. But just some of the things that he does is amazing. You should check it out. So eventually, A-Town Down Under gets the win in this match. For some reason, Fraxium comes out during the match. I'm not exactly sure why. I guess, because it's a setup for the match in 2 weeks in St. Louis. But anyway, they inadvertently cost Cedric and Javon the match. So, but it was a great match. Actually, it was probably between that and then the Oro Mensa Leslie Singh match. Those are two the matches of the night, I think. And again, more press conference with Trick. Trick goes up there and he says it can't be Ethan Page. It has to be me. I need to be confident. I need to control my emotions. So then that was done. Again, press conference is stupid. I don't even know why they're doing it. Well, they're doing it for the end. So then they said they're going to move the press conference to the ring, and everybody goes to the ring, and they have Roxanne Perez and Julia doing a press conference in the ring, sitting at tables with Byron Saxton in the middle. They ask Julia a question, and she goes on for like 3 minutes in Japanese. Nobody can understand what she's saying. And then eventually Funaki translates, and they have words on the bottom, but like at that point, I didn't care anymore. Like, just let's let them fight. And then, then they ask Roxanne a question. She starts talking about how awesome she is, like she always does. And then they go back to Julia, and she starts talking some English. And then, at the end of the press conference, Stephanie Vacour challenges the winner, but that was such a surprise. Like, she basically says, you two are going to fight each other for the title, and I promise you that after the title is, I'm paraphrasing, I promise you that after the match is done, that I will be there to go against the winner. So, anyway, so that's what happened. And then as soon as Stephanie Vacour was done talking, it cut out, like, immediately. And I was just like, what just happened? Like, they barely said anything, and it was just done, movie, like USA movie. And I was like, okay. Anyway, I think the last 2 weeks with my first two NXT reviews, I think both times were just okay. I think that they both could have been better, but they were okay. And I I think that everything is just moving forward to next week in Chicago and the week after in St. Louis. And this move to the CW. My question is, because obviously next week is going to be awesome. I can't wait to review it. It's going to be like reviewing a Raw and SmackDown or whatever. And then the week after, St. Louis, set to be awesome. Can't wait to review it. Taking my time with it. What about week 3? Nobody has had... I know we don't talk about, what happens after these things, but I wonder what's going to happen then. That's going to be an interesting thing to think about. What happens after Chicago and St. Louis? Something to think about. Before I go, I just wanted to remind everybody, Patreon, Apple Podcast, Spotify, ad-free version on Apple Podcast and Patreon. And also, when the PLE start again for NXT, I am going to be reviewing them as well. And let me tell you something. If you haven't seen an NXT PLE, Premium Live event, those are amazing. Amazing. The wrestling on there is outstanding. I hope I don't stick my foot in my mouth by saying that's the case, and then the next PLE is not as good. But I'm telling you, every single NXT PLE that I have watched, I have come out saying amazing. So, can't wait for that. Any questions or comments, please leave them. Like it if you like it. I got 1 like last week. I know my father listens, so maybe that was him. I don't know. But if not, I will talk to you next week with the next installment of the NXT review. Feel free to contact me in the comments, and I will talk to you soon.